Hi everybody, this is Todd Olthoff from toddolthoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. And today we're going to talk about Lion Server again, and we're going to be talking about SSL certificates and getting ourselves set up for secure connections with our different devices and our computer, and setting up a few things so that we can take advantage of Profile Manager in Lion Server. So let's start with a little bit of background on what an SSL certificate is. First of all, if you've ever been to a secure website, you'll notice that right next to where it says HTTP, usually there's an S next to it. And whenever there's an S next to that in a web browser, that means it's a secure website. And basically an SSL certificate just allows your computer to know that, hey, the line that we're talking on is private. It's encrypted and other people can't listen in. When you talk across non-encrypted lines, well, then people can listen in, and it becomes a little bit more of a public conversation. Not that it is every time, not that there are people out there listening in and hearing everything you say, but the potential for them to be able to do so is there. And so when we're connecting with our devices, we want to make sure that we have a connection with our devices that's secure and encrypted so that no one can listen in or intercept whatever it is we're passing back and forth between our machines. So there are two things that we want to set up to begin to make that happen so that we can have those secure connections. The first is we want to enable Apple push notifications. Now, the reason we want to do this is because it allows us then to push information to our devices of any changes that we want to make. So we're going to be connecting things like our iPods and our iOS devices, other laptops. And so instead of those devices having to always continue to ping our server to see if there are any changes, wasting battery and all that kind of stuff, we will only push changes to them when changes are actually made so that the device can just sit there and receive the changes that we need to make happen. Now, what will happen when you enable Apple push notifications, you'll get this little window here, and it will ask for your current Apple ID and password, or you create one now. And let me just click on this create one now, just in case those of you out there may not have an Apple ID. And let me close down this other deal here. What it does is it takes you to a web page here that allows you to create an Apple ID. And so when you click on this Create Apple ID, what you'll do is you will fill in your email, you'll set a password, you'll confirm the password, and then you'll be asked a security question of your choice that you can set up with the answer, your date of birth, and then you enter your full name and information and your address. So this is a full-on setup for an Apple ID. You'll come down here and you'll have to authenticate that you've read the policy, etc. Now once you've done that, and once it's set that up for you, then it will actually send you a certificate. So what I'm going to do is I will put in my Apple ID on here, and then I'll show you how this works as we punch that in. Alrighty, so let me put that in here. And let's see, if I hit Get Certificate, it should take me to the website to acquire a certificate. And so it's thinking right now. And so once that's done, it should give me a certificate and allow me to set it up. And it looks like I put in the wrong info there. Let me try it one more time. And it's going to authenticate for me. And once I'm done, then it will send me the information I need to be able to set up the certificate. And it kind of round trips it so that it makes sure that it's a secure connection as well. And so once that's done and once that's set up, we'll come back and I'll show you how to set up SSL. Oh, there you go. So now you can see it's got an Apple ID. It just gave me a certificate that expires in 2003. And I can say OK, and now I'm all set. I can send push notifications through my devices and everything's great. Now what we need to do is set up an SSL certificate now for this machine. Now because we're talking about a home server, what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up our own SSL certificate without having to go out and buy one. Now if you're looking at a commercial setup, you may want to go out and buy a commercial SSL certificate where what happens is you have outside authentication. You have another company who sells you the certificate that vouches for your server's identity on the internet. And it has then that way when people visit your server or visit the sites that you have, they don't get any errors or warning signs. The computers know, okay, this is safe. If you don't have one that's got a third party that vouches for you, then a little error thing will pop up that says, hey, I don't know who the certificate's from, and the user would have to just accept the certificate, and that gets a little scary for people who maybe don't know you or don't know your business. But since we're doing a home one, that really doesn't matter too much to us because we know our own server, we know it's from us, we're only doing it to limited people, maybe in our household, that's all. And so rather than pay for one, we're just going to set one up here that will help us and enable us to do what we need to do. Now when I click this edit on the SSL certificate, I get a little pop-up window that shows me all of the services that are affected by SSL certificates. So iCal and address book, those communicate over secure lines. iChat, mail, if I set up a mail server, and you can see they already put one in there for us, and even our web services. All of these different things use SSL certificates. So you can see we've already kind of got a custom certificate that's already set up right there. We've got a self-signed one on local. What we could do if we wanted to is we can go to Manage Certificates. That brings up another window that shows us all the certificates we've got. And you can see here that we've got one that's just for local, has some information on it, not a lot of information about our computer. We could also, if we wanted to, you can generate a signing request. That's if you're going to go external, all right, and get an external SSL certificate, you would have to go through by doing this, but we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is, let's say we create a new certificate identity. I want to show you what that looks like. So this little wizard comes up and walks us through that process. And so the name of our server is server.titledoldtoft.com. We set that up earlier. We thought that's a good name. That's what we wanted on there. So we've got our server name on there right now. Now it's a self-signed root certificate because that's what we want to have set up. And the certificate type is an SSL server. All right? Not a client, but it's a server, and all of these different things that we want here, that's what we want. And we're all set up. Now, a couple of things to know about this. If you were going to set this up to be a web server, you're going to set it up to be a corporate type machine. Instead of having the server in front of it, you wouldn't want to limit the number of options that people have to connect with your machine. So you would just back this part out right there and just have it be your domain name.com. That way later on you can add all kinds of details in terms of the different types of names people can use out there on the web to access your server. So for instance, if you had a mail server and you wanted people to access that by mail dot whatever your server name is .com, then if by having only your domain name in the front without a very specific name, now you're able to set up all these different names where mail dot whatever your server name is .com would allow people to access your server that way as well. So I just wanted to show you that, just in case for some of you out there that might be looking at this and maybe you're doing corporate setups. I want you to know that I'm doing this for a home server, not for a corporate server, just so that you know that. Now I can click create on here. It says I'm about to create a self-signed certificate. It's not quite as good as a trusted one. Someone's going to have to say, yeah, I know you and I trust you to accept it. That's okay. We're just going to say continue. And it's going to generate one. And so what it does is it successfully generated the certificate for us. All right, and so again, it says it's a root certificate that's not trusted, again, because we haven't gone through an outside business or anything. And so now it wants to export the key, and so I'm going to allow it to do that. And there we go. There is the actual certificate that we set up for our server, and that information is right there for us now. So let me just click OK on that. I'm going to let that go. And what I'm going to do now is I want to edit this again. And I am actually going to use the certificate that we just created. And so if I come in here and I say this, you'll notice now everything just disappeared, because what's going to happen now is that certificate is going to be used for every single one of our services. And so I click OK, and now we're in business. We've got our SSL certificate all set up. And if we come down here to the next steps area and we just look at this, okay, they tell us we can purchase one, but we're okay. There's no errors, no problem there. Now, based on that, that is exactly how you set up an SSL certificate for a home user. You don't have to do anything else that fancy. Again, like I said, if you're doing a corporate one, you may need to do some more things to make that happen.